Good morning, everyone. As always, place your cross on first. As you see the birds do it every day, you hear them in the background singing to the Lord every morning. Around this time period, they get up and do the exact same thing. If it's easy for the birds to praise the Lord, it should be easy for us to do it too. And as always, place your cross on first. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on the earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I'm going to read from Judges today. One thing you're going to realize, after Samson died, the land of Israel was just totally different than it was supposed to be. Everybody did what they wanted to be. And this goes hand in hand with God giving you over to the desires of your heart. You know, that doesn't make it right. But it was just straight lawlessness in there. And you understand, after Judges, it comes into the lineage of the kings. You know, Ruth and Boaz, then Samuel. When Samuel came along, that's like when God took back control. You understand? Because it was just straight lawlessness. You'll see what I'm talking about when I start reading. Judges chapter 17. And there was a man of Mount Ephraim whose name was Micah. This is not the same Micah in the book of the prophets. And he said to his mother, the 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from thee, about which thou cursest, and spakest of also in my ears, behold, the silver is with me. I took it. And his mother said, blessed be thou of the Lord, my son. And when he had restored the 1,100 shekels of silver to his mother said, I had wholly dedicated the silver unto the Lord from my hand for my son, to make a graven image and a molten image. Just think about it. During this time period, there was no set teacher, spreader of the word, and everybody just doing whatever they want to do. Just look around here now. They said, Lord, the Lord, but look what they're doing for the Lord, which he said not to do. You think God is happy with that? Think about it now. I'm reading this for a reason. When your heart is not right with the Lord, when you don't know this word, when you don't have this word, people start doing whatever they want to do. Now therefore I will restore it unto thee. Yet he restored the money to his mother, and his mother took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to the founder, who made thereof a graven image and a molten image. And they were in the house of Micah. So Micah made his own little setup. People do it now. Make their own little house of gods. No good ever come from disobeying the Lord, knowingly or unknowingly. No good ever comes from it. And the man Micah had a house of gods, and made an effort and teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became his priest. It set up him a priest. In those days there was no king in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. Now, we know that's a problem when everybody do what's right in their own eyes. Look at this world we live in now. That's what it seems like everybody doing. What's right in their own eyes. They even setting up for themselves their gods in their hearts. Really pay attention to what I'm telling you. And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite. And he sojourned there. They knew a little stuff. And the man departed out of the city of Bethlehem, Judah, to sojourn where he could find a place. And he came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he journeyed. And Micah said unto him, Whence comest thou? And he said unto him, I am a Levite of Bethlehem, Judah, and I go to sojourn where I may find a place. And Micah said unto him, Dwell with me, and be unto a father and a priest. Now Levites are supposed to be priests. So they knew a little something. They knew a little something still. And be unto me a father and a priest, and I will give thee 10 shekels of silver by the year, and a suit of apparel, and the victuals. So that the Levite went in. And the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man was unto him as one of his sons. And Micah consecrated the Levite, and the young man became his priest. A priest where? In the house of gods. Look at the Catholic Church. All those statues and stuff they got in there. All these images of who they think Michael the Archangel looked like. All these statues of Mary. I don't know how, I never seen Mary before. I don't know who that is. Just really think long and hard about what you see in this world. And these same people claim they worship the same God that we worship. In the house of gods. Mary, they God. The crucifix, they God. And so much other stuff they have in their churches. But they ain't the only ones. Many people do it. And they think God is okay with it. Why? Because every man did that which was right in his own eyes. Then said Micah, Now know I that the Lord would do me good, seeing I have a Levite to my priest. Now look what he said. Then said Micah, Now know I that the Lord would do me good, seeing I have a Levite to my priest. He think because he put a Levitical priest in there, that everything's going to go well for him. Let's see how well everything's go for Micah and his house of gods. In those days, there was no king in Israel. And in those days, the tribe of Dantes sought them an inheritance to dwell. For to that day, all their inheritance had not fallen to them among the tribes of Israel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coast, men of valor from Zorah and from Eshtal, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land. Who when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there. When they were by the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man, the Levite. And they turned to them and said unto him, Who brought thee hither? And what makest thou in this place? And what hast thou here? And he said unto them, Thus dealeth Micah with me, and have hired me, and I am his priest. And they said unto him, Ask counsel, we pray thee, of God, that we may know whether our way which we go shall be prosperous. And the priest said unto them, Go in peace, before the Lord is your way wherein you go. Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and saw the people that were therein, how they dwelt careless, after the manner of the Zidonians, quiet and secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. And they were far from the Zidonians, and had no business with any man. And they came unto their brethren to Zorah and Eshtal, and their brethren said unto them, What say ye? And they said, Arise, that we may go up against them. For it is very good, for we have seen the land. Behold, it is very good, and are ye still. But be not slothful to go and to enter to possess the land. When you go, you shall come into a people secure, and to a large land, for God hath given it into your hands, a place where there is no want of anything that is in the earth. And there went from thence of the family of Dantes and of Zorah and out of Eshtal 600 men appointed with weapons of war. And they went up and pitched in Kiriath Jearim in Judah, wherefore they called the place Mahanaim Dan. And this day, behold, is behind Kiriath Jearim. And they passed thence unto Mount Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. What Micah said. Then said Micah, Now know I that the Lord would do me good, seeing I have a Levite to my priest. Let's see what happens. And they passed thence into Mount Ephraim and came into the house of Micah. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out country of Laish and said to their brethren, do you know that there is in these houses an ephod and teraphim and a graven image and a molten image? Now therefore consider that you have to do. And they turned thitherward and came to the house of the young man, the Levite, even into the house of Micah, and saluted him. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither and took the graven image, and the ephod and the teraphim, and the molten image. And the priest stood in the entrance of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house and fetched the carved image, the ephod, the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, what do ye? And they said unto him, hold thy peace. Lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. It is better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel. And the priest heard, heart was glad, and he took the ephod and the teraphim and the graven image and went in the midst of the people. The priest turned on them. So they turned and departed and put the little ones and the cattle and the carriage before them. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the house near to Micah's house were gathered together and overtook the children of Dan. And they carried the children unto the children of Dan, and they turned their faces and said unto Micah, what aileth thee, that thou comest with such a company? And he said, ye have taken away my gods which I have made. And the priest said, you are gone away. What have I more? What is this that you say unto me? What aileth thee? And the children of Dan said unto him, let not thy voice be heard upon us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household. And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back into his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priests which he had, and came to Laish, and to a people that were quiet and secure. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in a valley that lieth by Beth Rehob. And they built a city and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their father, who was born into Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven images, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all time that the house of God was in Shiloh. Look at all that good that came upon Micah. All that good. You see, your heart can mean well. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Your heart can mean well and still be wrong. And still be wrong. And still be wrong. You can't set up a house of the Lord that goes against the Lord and say, Lord, Lord, haven't we done this, that in your name? And the Lord would say, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Why? Because every man did that was right in his own eyes. There was no teacher. There was no spreader of the word and the statutes of the Lord in the land. So everybody's just doing what they wanted to do. It's like after Samson passed, everything went to hell. This happens so much. And if you read through the rest of Judges, horrible things were happening. They raped one woman, a man. Wife ran away from him. They raped her and raped her all night. Because everybody did what was right in their own eyes. And guess what the man did? After he found his concubine or wife or whatever, after she was raped all night, he cut her up in pieces and sent her throughout the land. What the world is going on? You see what happens when the words of the Lord are not there? When did the Lord say, cut up your wife or your concubine and send her body to every tribe if she wronged you? I know about stoning and stuff like that, but that's what people do when there's no God in the land. When there's doing what their heart desires. They do anything. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer set up his house of gods too. In his little closet where he worshiped Satan. And we can see how that went. At least according to the story, if it's true, he gave his life over to the Most High God before he died. But you see what happened when you start setting up your own gods in your heart and doing what you feel is right? Things go wrong for you. What Micah said. Let's see what Micah said. Now I know that the Lord would do me good, seeing I have a Levite to be my priest. And what that mean? If they ain't doing what the Lord wants them to do and operating how the Lord wants them to do. Unless the Lord build a house, did you ever heard that before? Unless the Lord build a house, the Lord didn't build it, he built it. How he wanted it. To his design. He thought he was going to be blessed. But you know what? He might look at this as a bad thing. But it actually was good that happened to him. Why, if you know the word? He said evil things, he said wicked and evil people destroy each other. Right? So Micah did something wicked of his heart desire. And then along come evil men and take that wicked stuff with them. And actually, that was a good thing for Micah. But I guarantee you that's what he was thinking. Oh, my house of gods. What am I going to do now? Call on the real God? Not to no graven images, a house of gods. His house of gods. But you know what? I might read a little bit more, but I don't have to. Read it for yourself. Got a lot of chapters left in Judges. Not too many. But you know, I'm telling you, man, if your desires don't line up with the word, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's not gonna work. I know people that got shrines in their houses to their gods. And it's disgusting. I'm appalled by it. But you know why? Because they don't read this word. They set up gods in their heart. And they do whatever they want to do. Because nobody can tell me what to do. Nobody can. Sure can't. And nobody can't save you from hell either. But God. So if you ain't setting up God in your heart, set up your gods. And worship your gods that you have set up. And see how good it goes for you. You know why it still happened to him? Think about it now. Because he still was trying to seek the Lord. But he went about it the wrong way. And the Lord sent evil people around to break that down. Consider that a blind request from the Lord. Hey man, let me tear this out of his hand. Let me pause and I will continue